Hello chess friends and welcome to Yazarov Chess channel and welcome back to the Crunchlab Masters in 2024 that you can follow now on chess.com. We have here Alireza Firouzja against Jan Nepomniachtchi from the finals of the losers bracket of this event. The losers bracket is of course the bracket where the players are entering if they're losing some match, and in both of them Alireza and Jan lost already some matches, but nothing is lost. We know in this concept, in this tournament, you can of course reach the grand final even if you lose some games. And really epic things happened today. Magnus was also actually playing today in the losers bracket, lost his game yesterday against vachier-lagrave, but also Magnus lost the semifinals of the losers bracket against Jan Nepomniachtchi, which was, I think, really an epic result for Nepo. And today now in the finals, as I mentioned, we have now Alireza Firouzja against Jan, and the winner of this match will then play tomorrow in the grand final against vachier-lagrave. So let's see now what happened. The concept of this match was like this. First of all, they had to play 2 games. If the games end with a draw, then of course they play the so-called Armageddon game. And we're covering first of all one game. At the end of this video, I'm going to reveal then the finals of the finalist of the grand final that will play, of course, against vachier-lagrave. So in one game they played here, Alireza Firouzja opened with the move d4. Nepo's response was knight to f6, knight to f3, d5, and now we have bishop to f4. Here, great opening choice, I would say, by Alireza. Alireza applies the Magnus system. Magnus, when in need, always stuck to this beautiful London system when he wanted maybe to also play really solid opening without complications at the beginning, and then later maybe search for tactics. We have now the move c5 by Nepo, e3, knight to c6, and now knight from b to d2, knight to h5, kicking away the bishop. But now Alireza goes into a very unbalanced line, because you see now he took already the pawn. Also here Nepo takes out now the bishop. After e takes f4, white is continuing now the game with an extra pawn, but black is continuing the game, of course, with the amazing bishop pair in a really open battle. I would say it could be really an open game now for both sides. So really unbalanced opening choice here by Alireza Firouzja. And now Nepo goes with a good choice again with a5, prevents some ideas of a3, b4 to fix somehow the pawn structure here on the queen side to support for the one pawn by white, of course, the amazing c5 pawn. We have now bishop to b5 by Alireza, a very aggressive move, of course, with threats of knight to e5. It's actually even a beautiful theoretical novelty here by Alireza. I'm not seeing any games in the database in this particular line. So we have now the move e6. Nepo is, of course, trying to get his pawn back. If black manages somehow to get the pawn back in a good way, in an really active way, and keeping the bishop here on the board, then I think black has even good chances in the game. So here knight to e5, that's why Alireza is not allowing that. He plays this dangerous attack against this knight on c6 and forces basically this move bishop to d7 now by Nepo. After knight takes d7, queen takes d7, and you see now Nepo lost the bishop pair. But there is, I think, also a very important strategic advantage still here for black. Although these are opposite colored bishops, it means, of course, in a potential endgame with only bishops on the board and maybe with only pawns on the board, this could be a drawish position. But I think black has a more solid structure in the center of the board, has maybe even opportunities to do something in the center of the board. Alireza has now also the weakened pawn on f4, but Alireza is well prepared in the London system. If you want maybe to study the London system, I would suggest you that you maybe study games by Magnus Carlsen, but also by Alireza. He's really the master of this opening. You see now how Alireza will start to cook here. He will try to spice up the game with really beautiful active play with his other pieces on the board. So after move queen to d7, Alireza plays queen to f3, and I really like this move because this move makes the move bishop to c5 much more harder for Nepo, because you get this one, queen to c3, double attack against the bishop and against the pawn. If you try maybe something like bishop to f8 to retreat, then this one is going to happen. Queenside castling by white, and look at this. White would have here already a beautiful fast development, would have a beautiful attacking formation. I think in the next couple of moves we could expect rook to e1 followed with f5, and all of the pieces are well placed, I think, by white. So that's why Nepo, after queen to f3, didn't fall for this. He played now the move queen to c7, and now Alireza castled anyway. And actually, which is really surprised, actually now you could maybe take with bishop to c5. Now it's a different story because the queen is already attacking this pawn on f4. In the line that I've analyzed at home, maybe white could also try queen to c3. This wasn't playing the game, but look how the position is changing. You're trying to do this, then we can castle, you can maybe support your bishop on b5, but now also black can play active, maybe knight to d4. You pick up your pawns, but now we attack the queen, we pick up this one, look at this, we attack the bishop, take out the bishop, even rook to f2. I think we can agree that black is here now finally also a beautiful piece activity. So now bishop to c5 would have worked, but again Nepo played bishop to e7, which is still perfectly fine. There is still a good tactical solution for black to get the pawn back. You'll see now how, because after move a4, Alireza fixes now the bishop on b5. We have now kingside castling by Nepo, still fine position. Knight to b3 played by Alireza. So you see Alireza managed somehow to defend his pawn, but now Nepo had a great opportunity in the game to play a solid knight to a7, and now suddenly I'm not saying white's position is collapsing or something, but I think suddenly black is getting back into the game with only one move. After knight to a7, you're maybe trying queen to e3 to protect everything. That's a line that white of course doesn't have to play. White can leave this pawn on c5 unprotected, but let's see now what happens if you try to protect it. Then look at this, knight to b5, a takes b5, a4, you're breaking through, knight to d4, you pick up this one, and for instance in this particular line black is much better. a3 is going to happen, the position of white is collapsing, the pawn structure in front of white's king will be destroyed. Black is opening the position for sure. So as I said, white doesn't have to play the move after move knight to a6, knight to f7, doesn't have to play the move queen to b3, but eventually this pawn is lost, and I think black is getting back into the game. But after move knight to b3 that Alireza played here, a bad choice by Nepo, knight to b4, which in some other lines would make perfectly sense because you're placing your knight on the most active square and you're attacking something, but you're not attacking anymore the bishop. With knight to a7 you would get also an extra tempo against the bishop on b5. And now Alireza shows what Alireza can do. Alireza is playing always beautiful attacking chess. First of all, f5. He's breaking through with this seemingly bad pawn that we have talked about in the beginning. In the beginning, this pawn is a weakness now, but now it becomes the main strength of white. It's splitting the pawn structure in front of black's king. It makes, of course, now black's king much more vulnerable, with also ideas maybe in some lines, maybe if you manage to push also the pawn to f4. Now Nepo takes bishop to c5, king to b1. Good calm improvement of the king here by Alireza. Bishop to b6, and now c3, kicking with the knight drops back, and now f takes e6. Also, what we have to say, f6 is also an opportunity here for black. Then after something like g6, you are maybe also vulnerable now yourself here on dark squares. Then maybe we can play g5, g4, h4, h5, queen to h3. But I think we can agree also that white should be much better here, because white will open finally the position against black's king. But f takes e6 is also perfectly fine, because I think when you are on the attacking side, you always are trying to provoke at least some kind of weakness. Of course, with the move f6, Alireza can also provoke a weakness, but with move f takes e6, the line that he chose, also you can provoke a weakness on e6. And you see now, as I mentioned, Alireza is cooking here. Alireza is trying to find something. He's at least keeping the attacking flow, keeps now also here Nepo occupied. Rook to f6, rook to e1, keeping the pressure against the e6 pawn. Queen to f7, not a good move here by Nepo. Better choice is to play rook to h6, kick away the queen that's attacking now. And now after queen to g3, queen takes g3, h takes g3, white is better here, but again, I'm pointing out, again, we have this opposite card bishops where nothing, I think, dramatic can happen. But after queen to f7, f4 now by Alireza Firouzja. He's of course hoping after rook to f4 to get also his rook or maybe the queen into the game. Then also when one of these pieces is coming to e6, then of course course the knight is endangered on c6. So f4, good attacking move by Alireza, keeping again black occupied now here with the white pieces. After f4, rook to h6, queen to g4, rook takes h2. Another bad move, I would say, by Nepo. Maybe finally rook to d8, at least maybe trying to do something here, maybe with d4, knight takes d4, bishop to d4, rook to d4. At least you're getting your pieces all into the game. But after queen to g4, rook to h2, now Alireza played a beautiful move. Queen takes e6. It seems so that you should not trade off queens when you are maybe on the attacking side, but Alireza calculated everything. A simplification is actually good here for white, because as we mentioned, the rook is coming, also the bishop is lined up on the 6th rank. You cannot move the knight, the bishop is this. So great tactics. Rook takes g2, who cares? We have rook takes d5, Alireza takes another pawn, we have a rook to b8, and now bishop to c4. Really dangerous bishop now against black's king, so that's why Nepo retreats. But now rook to b5, again keeping the pressure against the loose bishop. And look at this, after bishop to a7 now comes a rook takes b7. You cannot pick up here the piece because you get checkmated on e8. So you see how Alireza is always pushing here Jan Nepomniachtchi into the defense. After rook to b7, h5, Nepo is trying to do something. It tries, of course, to do something with his pass pawn on the h5, but Alireza again keeps it calm. Rook takes b8, knight takes b8, and now rook to e7. Again applying the simple threat idea. Always keep your opponent busy, always keep your opponent occupied. Here knight to c6, again Alireza, simple threat, again forcing a reaction by black. h4, here Nepo hopes to get some kind of a race situation, but it's like me racing against Usain Bolt here. This seems dangerous that here black is trying to push the pawn and promote it somehow. But again, Alireza very calm in his game, picks up now the pawn, picks up now the knight. After move h3, he says, okay, I can always control this h1 square, and even if you manage to push it through somehow, still I will give up my bishop and still go into a favorable endgame, because this pawn is lost, and then 3 pawns are marching here, of course, on the queen side. But Alireza, what's really cool, played actually the optimal moves. After rook to g1, king to a2, h2, he's not scared about this potential promotion. He still keeps his bishop on the board. He says, okay, my bishop is still on the board, and at least it can do something. And now bishop to e4 is a dangerous threat, because after king to h6 and rook to h8, you get even checkmated. The pawn on f4, the pawn that we have talked about that was very weak, is actually now, look at this, controlling even the g5 square. So now here it would be a beautiful checkmate pattern. So that's why for bishop to e4 you have to play g6, but now the bishop is lined up on the 7th rank. We can pick up the piece, and now here you can of course attack the bishop, but even if you promote, as we mentioned, white will always give up here. We'll pick up this one with the knight and these 3 pawns on the queen side. Again, it's game over. Nepo is trying to do the trick, of course, to pick up the bishop somehow, or maybe sacrifice it. If you protect it, then of course we sack it, and then we can promote. But here, of course, after rook to a7 and rook to e1, bishop to d5 was played by Alireza, and in this position Jan Nepomniachtchi resigned. So great game by Alireza. He was really very active in his game, in this faster time formats, in this rapid games. Keeping it calm like this is really, I think, a cool method by Alireza Firouzja. Deserved win for him. And this, in the other game, he managed to get the draw with the black pieces, which means now that Alireza Firouzja and Maxim vachier-lagrave are playing in the grand final of the Crunchlab Masters in 2024. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed a lot. Interesting ideas of the London system for sure. If you want to see some other games that we have covered from this event, check out my coverage, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.